Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Sid's Reviews. My name is Dale. Now, when it comes to integrated amplifiers, there's lots of choices for you up there. Amplifiers that cost as little as $80 up to $5,000, $10,000. And a lot of them have different things to it. So a lot of them just have a lot of features that are built into it that are, built for convenience and stuff like that, but don't necessarily sound good. Then there's a lot of amplifiers that are built that don't really have too many features into it, but they sound really good. The components inside are very well made. Can an amplifier have both? Can an amplifier have, great features, modern features into it, ease of use, very convenient, but also sound really good? I'm talking hi-fi sound. Well, let's find out together. This is the Hegel H95 integrated amplifier, and let's get into it. So once again, before I start this review, this sample here came from a company here in Winnipeg called Altitudo Audio. They have a great website. They have a physical store here in Winnipeg. They provide a lot of products, hi-fi products throughout the community. They sell a lot online, give great advice, could recommend good pairings with any kind of hi-fi setup you want, amplifiers, speakers, CD players, turntables, anything you want in hi-fi they carry. I'll leave a link to them below, and I received nothing of compensation of any type for this review. They didn't tell me what to say about this product. So now on to the review. Okay, so the Hegel H95 integrated amplifier is a 2-channel amplifier. The power rating on it is 60 watts at 8 ohms, but don't let the power specs fool you. I'll dive into that more later. It retails in the US for approximately $2,000 US. You could vary a bit up and down, and here in Canada retails for about 22 to 2400 Canadian. And you can buy it in quite a few places. Altitudo Audio is one of them. I'll leave the link below online, and also in as well as many other US online retailers will have them. The company, Hegel, is a Norway company. If you go on their website, I'll leave a link to that below. They're a company that's been around for a little while. They primarily make integrated amplifiers. They have about 6 or 7 different models of integrated amplifier. The Hegel H95 is actually their entry-level integrated amplifier. So, like I said, they have about 6 or 7 other models of integrated amplifiers. They also have, if you want to go separate, so you could buy separate power amps and also preamps that they have. I think they have a couple of models of each one. They also have, I believe, a CD player and a phono player, but I think their main bread and butter market here is integrated amplifiers. Okay, I'll quickly go over the front of this integrated amplifier. I do like how it's very clean up front with only a couple of knobs and then a headphone jack. Here you can see there's a source dial here. So there's analog 1 and 2. There's only 2 analog inputs, RCA inputs, and then it primarily focuses on digital input. So you got coaxial, optical 1, 2, 3, 3 of them, USB in, which is very handy to have, network, which I'll talk about a bit later in the features, and then back to analog. Then here's the nice dial here for the volume. As you can see, it goes from 0, I believe, all the way to 100. So there's a lot of steps to it, and you really, it's really nice feel to it, but I feel that the volume here really doesn't get going until about 35 to 40, where it's kind of at a listenable position, but I'll speak more about that later. There's also the headphone amp, which actually I didn't try, but apparently it's supposed to be pretty good. Okay, so here's the back of the Hegel H95. There's a variable line output here to hook up a subwoofer if you'd like to. Then here's your 2 RCA inputs, very nice binding posts, 1 set of binding posts. And then the focus here is on digital input. So you have your coaxial input, 3 optical inputs, USB input if you want to hook it up to your iPhone or laptop or whatever, and then the network one. So this needs to be hooked up to your router into here to access any of the network features. So if you want to use like Apple AirPlay or other streaming through your computer, yeah, you need to actually wire it in, hardwire it in. There is no Bluetooth on this unit, unfortunately. Guys, it does come with a remote, very basic plastic remote, but it does the job. Volume, it can change tracks if you hook it up directly to from the USB. You could switch your inputs on there, display as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a basic functioning remote. It's okay for what it is. Okay, so about the sound of this integrated amplifier from Hegel, the H95. Let me start first with the digital part of it, so the DAC inside of it. And of course, a lot of you are going to wonder, how good is the DAC inside this integrated amplifier? Should I just leave it as is, or should I get an external DAC to make it sound a little bit better? Well, let me tell you, I'll tell you right now. Okay, so the DAC in this integrated amplifier, in my opinion, is very good. Like, I'm talking very good for an integrated amplifier. I was comparing it to my Geshelli Labs J2 DAC, which is my everyday DAC. It's my reference DAC. I really like it. I think it sounds very natural with anything that I put into it. And this one, I think, inside the Hegel H95 amplifier is almost every bit as good. I'd say it's got to be 85 to 90% of that. Whenever I had it plugged in, whether it was like USB or optical, or even through AirPlay, when I hooked it up to that, I thought it sounded very good. It sounded natural, but very punchy. It was very clear. I had absolutely no issue using the DAC inside this integrated amplifier. So do you need an external DAC? For 90% of you, I don't think you will. I think you'll be very happy with the sound of the DAC that's built into this unit here. I also like to mention about this integrated amplifier that I believe it is all assembled in the factory at Hegel in Oslo, Norway. And the sound, it is a Class AB amp, because I could see the big toroidal transformer inside here. So yeah, you're getting some good AB power out of this unit. Okay, so speaking of the overall sound, to me, okay, in general, I think this amplifier sounds tonally a lot like the amplifier I used to have, which is the Iota VX SA3 integrated amp. Now, that's only a $500 amp, or we're comparing it here to, like, a $2,000 amp. So I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying, in general, tonally, I thought both had presented music in a very neutral way. And this one does as well. However, it's obviously refined to a higher fidelity, higher quality. This one, though, I think has a slight emphasis within the bottom end to it. So I think you're going to get a little bit more bass in the boost in the bass is what I'm trying to say. But overall, it's a very neutral sounding amp. So a lot of it will depend on what speakers you're using. Primarily, the two speakers that I use for this review are the Comet 40th Anniversary bookshelf speakers, and then also I use the Audio Physic Classic 3 speakers for this review. Both speakers are about the same price, around $2,500 each, but both presented a different type of sound when I use it with this amplifier. With the Comets, the Triangle Comets, they presented a very refined, nice sound with a bit of a tip in the treble to it. So I think that's attributed to the tweeter that's with the Triangle Comet. And then the Classic 3 speakers from Audio Physic, to me, they were a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more oomph to it, especially in the bass region. But they both had different sonic qualities for it. So it's just kind of what you prefer, I guess, what you like in the sound. Do you want to hear every last bit of detail? You would use the Comets with it. Or if you wanted the more dynamic punch, I guess, the Audio Physic would present you with that. So this amplifier kind of gives you what your speakers are made for. Of course, one thing that I alluded to earlier is with the volume of this unit. Now, even though I think it could drive most speakers, and it could get very loud, especially when you're past like 50 or 60 onto the dial, it does take some digging to get into until you get up to a level that I think most people will kind of start at. So from like 0 to 30, it's very, very, very low. And if you like low listening, it doesn't really give you all the details that it would, that I've heard better on some other integrated amplifiers at lower volume. So to really start getting, I guess, some juice out of this amplifier, you need to get it to at least up to like 40 out of 100. So anything 40 and up, 40, 50, and then 60 is when this amplifier really starts to shine and gives you, what I think that it's made for, and gives you the best out of this amplifier. It really excels into the bass region when you get it up there, and then the mids become very clear. The treble, it really smooths out as well, and it really presents a nice neutral sound to your music. Okay, if you want to get into a couple of different integrated amp comparisons, I do have a couple here for you. The first one I'll do is my reference amp, the Unico Primo integrated amp. Now, it doesn't have any digital features that this integrated amp has, but it does have more RCA inputs. It has a phono input, so it has a couple more in that option. But basically, there's no other frills to the Unico Primo amp. They both retail for about the same price, about $2,000 to $2,500, give or take. So they do, compare that way. Now, tonally, I think they're both quite a bit different. This one is a Class AB amp, where that one is a Class A amp and is Class AB hybrid amp. So it does have a tube in it as well. So the Unico Primo will give you a bit more of a tubey feel. So it'll give you a bit more holographic sound. Slightly more separation, I guess, into the music, stuff like that. I think the Unico Primo is about 80 watts per channel. No, about 60 or 80 watts per channel. So it does kind of play louder, plays a little bit better at lower volumes. But that's where kind of the difference is, and it's definitely not a neutral amp like I think this one is. That one definitely has more focus on the bottom end, a bit more into the mid-range too, and just a bit more punch overall to the sound, where this one will present kind of a matter-of-fact type sound, more neutral, give you more of what the speakers have to offer into it. So that's a comparison there. And the other amp I wanted to compare it to, which I haven't done the review on that yet, but it is coming up. So if you want to wait and listen for that, there'll be another week or so until I get that. But that's the Elixir amplifier. They retail for about the same price, about $2,000, $2,500. Again, though, that is a basic no frills type amp. So it doesn't have any digital inputs or anything. It's pretty much all an analog affair. So you're going to need a DAC with the Elixir amp, just the same as you would with the Unico Primo amp. Sound-wise, though, the Elixir to me has quite a bit more power, it seems, into the body of it. So it will definitely get you loud with the very little cranking there of the volume knob. So it really gets into it, very dynamic, very punchy. An overall sound that's very exciting, I think, where this one, like I said, more is a neutral type sound. It'll give you lots of detail, but it won't really shine anything. It won't emphasize anything overly like the Elixir or the Unico Primo amps do. So again, it's basically, it's kind of an amp where what's your flavor? Do you need an amp with a bunch of features in it, with a DAC built into it, and that sounds good? This one is obviously be the right choice for you. If you're looking for other things in your amplifier, if you already have a DAC, maybe one of the other more basic amps would be more that your flavor into it. So it's all kind of what you like and what you need, I guess, for your hi-fi system. Okay, so now I'll get into the final thoughts of what I think here of the Hegel H95 integrated amp. Look, for the price that it is, $2,000 to $2,500, I know it's not, entry-level money, but it's kind of mid-level money, and I compared it to, like amplifiers. And for what you're getting here for $2,500 is definitely a lot of features that I think a lot of people would like. If you want an all-in-one solution, I think this amplifier is a great start. Certainly have a look at it. It has a great DAC built into it. Like I said, it sounds really good, almost as good as my $400 Geshelli Labs DAC. So that's kind of already built into here. So you don't need to purchase anything extra for that. It has a remote. It has streaming features built in. Of course, you have to hook it up, hardwire it in, but it is there. It sounds really good. Lots of features into it, and it delivers a neutral type sound. So if you have a speaker with a sound and you want an amp that just plays well, does everything right, and it doesn't add any coloration to your speakers that you have, give this amplifier you know, definitely a test drive. Try it out. I think you'll be happy with it. And if you don't, if you need an amplifier that has that needs a little bit more power, they have other options. You go to the H190, I believe there's a 390, it goes up from there. Of course, they're more expensive, but at least you'll get that tonal sound. So if you like, you know, neutral type sounding amplifiers, definitely give Hegel a try. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thanks for joining me. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Once again, shout out to Altitudo Audio for letting me borrow this unit for the last month or so I could give it a proper review. I'll leave their link down below as well, and we'll see you on the next review.